I came across the Matrix Vita when a friend of mine lent me some of his keyboards with the intention of enticing me to also buy one. Misery loves company, I guess, and he was successful. Matrix Lab is a Chinese keyboard manufacturer, and some of their group buys were only done in China. That is the case for the Vita, and I had to spend quite a bit to get my hands on one. Interestingly enough, what pulled me in with the Vita was not the LCD screen. I do think it is a great gimmick. It's fun to use, but there are other things here that, to me, far outshine the LCD screen. First is the finish on the case. Matrix Lab calls this coating. In their interest check, they basically said that this is Cerakote, but they can't call it Cerakote since it is a brand name. I love how it feels in the hand. It is textured and not smooth nor shiny like anodized aluminum, and I fell in love with the surface when I first touched it. For the Starry white coating, which is the one that I bought, you can see that there are some shiny particles in the coating that shimmer with light. The second thing that I like is the backplate. When I first looked at the renders, I thought that I would hate this design since I found it too aggressive. Turns out it looks good in person. I love the contrast between the relatively simple top against the brave design at the backplate. And that panda logo is a banger. The case is your typical box on a wedge design. USB Type-C implementation was handled well using a daughter board on the bottom plate. The top and the bottom bezels are a bit thick, while the side bezels are just right. Going to the headliner LCD, there are two LCD screens. The top one is a square and the bottom one has an 8:3 aspect ratio. You can use separate files for each screen. Matrix Lab has an extensive document guide here that you can use to convert your files. As for the LCD design, I would have preferred if there was no metal plate here to make the design flow better, but that is subjective. The plate was probably integral to the assembly, so it was a compromise that had to be made to have two screens. I also like the mounting system here. It's quite unique. You have two plates, a 10 aluminum plate, and a silicone pad that goes on top of it. Basically, the switches and the top plate come into contact with the silicone pad, so there is a bit of isolation there. There are also some flex cuts along the perimeter of the plate. These make the default typing feel not as stiff compared to regular top mounts. You can also put O-rings on the assembly if you want a softer typing feel. As for the sound, the boards that we have here may not be a good reference because we used KBDFans switch pads. This is KBDFans' take on the popular PE foam mod, and it does change the sound of the boards. Some don't like how it makes boards sound samey. To me, I like how it sounded here, but I definitely won't be using it in all my boards. Here is a sound test of the boards. Overall, I really like the Matrix Vita. The design may not suit everyone's preference, but the finish and the build quality of the boards are definitely top notch. The LCD is a bit gimmicky but works well. The mounting style is quite unique and works to bring a softer typing feel for a top mount. It will be hard to get your hands on a Matrix Vita kit, and it will likely be very expensive. So I advise you to make sure that this is something that you really like before purchasing. To me, I already knew what I wanted in keyboards, so I thought it was a good purchase. And that is it for this one. If you liked the video, please do consider subscribing, and I hope I have helped you in deciding whether this is the keyboard for you. See you in the next one. Dredgen out.